All right, let's dive right in. Ever wondered how something as massive as a country's income or its employment level actually gets decided? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to break down the core ideas that'll not only help you crush your exam, but also give you a whole new way of looking at the economy. So, this huge question, it actually boils down to a dance between two massive forces, aggregate demand and aggregate supply. And by the end of this, you're going to see exactly how that dance plays out and determines, well, pretty much everything. And look, this isn't just about theory. We're talking 12 marks here. These are crucial points, so let's make sure you walk into that exam hall feeling like you own this stuff. Okay, so imagine the economy is this giant machine, right? And it has two main gears. One gear is what everyone plans to spend, the other is what everyone plans to produce. When those two gears are turning in perfect sync, everything's great. But when they're not, well, that's when you get big problems like unemployment or inflation. Let's look at that first gear, aggregate demand, or AD. It's basically the total planned spending. And for our purposes, it's made of two parts. You've got C for consumption. That's all the spending planned by regular households, like us. And then you have I for investment. That's what businesses plan to spend on new equipment, factories, and so on. The other gear is aggregate supply, or AS. It's the total value of everything producers are ready to sell. Now here's the really cool part. When something is made and sold, that money becomes someone's income. It goes to workers, to owners, to suppliers. That's why we say aggregate supply is the same thing as national income, which we call Y. Okay, before we go any further, let's just lock in a couple of key terms. You absolutely have to get these down. We're talking about our propensity to consume and the incredible multiplier effect. Seriously, understanding these is the key that unlocks this whole chapter. Propensity to consume sounds super technical, I know. But all it's asking is, how much of our money do we usually spend? Like, if you get a raise, do you spend all of it or do you save some? That relationship between your income and your spending, that's your propensity to consume. Simple as that. Now, let's drill down a bit more with the marginal propensity to consume, MPC. This is all about the extra income. So, say you get an extra $100. If you spend 80 of it and save 20, your MPC is 0.8. It's just the fraction of any new money that you turn right around and spend. Oh, and this is a really important little distinction. Ex ante is the plan, what we intend to do. Ex post is what the final numbers show actually happened. For this whole theory, we are completely focused on ex ante because it's our collective plans and expectations that really drive the economy. And now, for what is maybe one of the most powerful, almost magical ideas in all of economics, the investment multiplier. This is the idea that just a little bit of new spending can set off a chain reaction that leads to a much, much bigger change in the whole economy. It's like a small pebble causing a huge ripple. Think about it. Let's say the government spends $1 million on a new bridge. That money doesn't just vanish. No way. It becomes income for the construction workers. What do? They go spend a chunk of it at local shops. Now that money is income for the shopkeepers, who then pay their employees, who then go out and spend it. You see the pattern? It just keeps going. This here shows that multiplier effect perfectly. That first injection of 1,000 crore becomes income for Group 1. They spend some of it based on their MPC. That spending becomes income for Group 2. They spend some of that. And the cycle keeps going, with each round being a bit smaller, until the total impact is way bigger than that first investment. So in this case, with an NPC of 0.8, the multiplier is 5. Every single rupee of new investment ended up creating 5 rupees of new national income. That's why governments are so interested in boosting investment when the economy is slow. They know that one small push can have a massive effect. Okay, I know what some of you are thinking. Math? But hey, don't worry. The math for this stuff is actually pretty straightforward. We're going to walk right through it, step by step, and you'll see it's nothing to sweat about. So you see a question like this on the exam. First thing you do, just take a breath. All you have to do is find the pieces of the puzzle they've given you. Here, we've got the consumption function and we've got the investment. That is literally all we need. And here's the breakdown. First, we start with our main rule. At equilibrium, income, Y, equals consumption, C, plus investment, I. Next, we just plug in the numbers they gave us in the question. A little bit of easy algebra later, and boom, we've got our answer. The equilibrium income is 5,000 crore. See? Not so bad. So what happens when the economy isn't in that perfect spot? What if there's tons of unemployment or prices are skyrocketing? Well, that's when governments and central banks have to step in and try to fix things. Let's see what tools they have. The easiest way to think about this is like a car. Deficient demand is like trying to drive with the handbrake on. The engine's running, but you're not going anywhere fast, and you got unemployed resources. On the flip side, excess demand is like redlining the engine in first gear. You're moving, sure, but the engine is overheating, and you're about to cause some real damage. So to fix a sluggish economy, the goal is simple. Get more money flowing and get people spending. The government can do this with fiscal policy, spending more itself or cutting our taxes. At the same time, the central bank can use monetary policy, like lowering interest rates to make it cheaper for everyone to borrow money. And to cool down an overheating economy, well, you just pull all the opposite levers. The government cuts its spending or raises taxes. The central bank jacks up interest rates, making it more expensive to borrow. It's all about tapping the brakes to slow things down. Wow, okay, we have covered a ton of ground here. You've learned about what drives the economy, that amazing multiplier effect, and how to fix the big problems. So, to wrap it all up, here is the final cheat sheet with the formulas you just gotta know. Go ahead and screenshot this slide, write it down. But listen, don't just memorize these. Understand what they mean and how they all fit together. If you get the logic behind them, you'll be unstoppable on the exam. And finally, this graph. This one image is basically the whole story we just told. That 45-degree line shows every possible point where what we earn is equal to what we spend. Our equilibrium? It's right there. That sweet spot where our aggregate demand curve crosses the line. And that's a wrap on our super revision. You've got the toolkit now. You can analyze the economy and understand the big debates that shape our world. So think about it for the real world. To create jobs, what's the better move? Cutting taxes or having the government spend more? There's no easy answer, but now you have the framework to make a great argument. Now go out there and ace that exam.